In 1948, Israel, the Jews, declared independence. And the following year, during the 4 blood moons, they won the battle for independence and was declared that year by the UN to be a legitimate nation. Now, while they were a nation, unfortunately, Israel only possessed West Jerusalem. So technically, Jerusalem was still trampled on by the Gentiles. Part of it was still in the hands of the Gentiles until the 6-day war, when Jerusalem, in May of 1967, during the 4 blood moons, regained all of Jerusalem. The prophetic time for the church had entered a new period. The times of the gospel being given to the Gentiles while still offered to them took a dramatic turn. Nations that once embraced the gospel, like America, Europe, has recently turned against the very foundation of our nations, which is the Bible, Jesus Christ, His Lordship, and the teachings of Jesus. And that turning was a significant sign that the times of the Gentiles were fulfilled. So now, we're about to enter the next, and may I say this, the last of the 4 blood moons landing on Passover and Tabernacles. I say the last in our generation. We won't see 4 blood moons again for another 100 years, at least landing on Passover and Tabernacles. So I wanted to show you that the last two of the 4 blood moons, something significant happened. Israel became a nation, and the second group of blood moons, Israel regained all of Jerusalem, all during the blood moons. What possibly could happen this time around? I'm excited to find out. But I think the Bible could give us some possible clues as to what we could expect in the next 2 years. Revelation chapter 7. Are we ready? Hold on to your seats. Buckle up. We're going to take you on a prophetic ride. All right, verse 1. One of the 7 angels who had the 7 bowls came and said to me, "Come, I will show you the punishment of the great prostitute." Now, verse 2. With her, the kings of the earth committed adultery, and the inhabitants of the earth were intoxicated with the wine of her adulteries. Then the angel carried me away in the spirit into a desert. There I saw a woman sitting on a scarlet beast that was covered with blasphemous names and had 7 heads and 10 horns. The woman was dressed in purple and scarlet and was glittering with gold, precious stones and pearls. She held a golden cup in her hand filled with abominable things and the filth of her adulteries. I saw that the woman was drunk with the blood of the saints, the blood of those who bore testimony to Jesus. When I saw her, I was greatly astonished. Then the angel said to me, "Why are you so astonished? I will explain to you the mystery of the woman and of the beast she rides, which has the 7 heads and 10 horns. The beast which you saw once was, now is not, and will come up out of the abyss and go to his destruction." Notice, past, present, and future. The beast once was. So that means there's something about the beast that we can trace in the past to find out who the beast is, what the beast is. We do know when John wrote this, the beast was not. That means whatever the past was, the beast was not now present. But then the future, he will come up out of the abyss. So do you get this? All right. The inhabitants of the earth whose names have not been written in the book of life from the creation of the world will be astonished when they see the beast, because he once was, now is not, and yet will come. Again, past, present, and future. Now here it is. This calls for a mind with wisdom. How many of y'all would say, "Bishop, I need wisdom right now because I'm lost"? Now, we're going to understand. That's why he says you're going to need a mind with wisdom. So this is such a difficult interpretation, it's one of the few that John stops and says, I'm going to have to help you out on this one. The other ones you probably can figure out, but this one I'm going to give you a little help because you won't understand it unless I give you some clues. So aren't you glad for some clues? Here it is. This calls for a mind with wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 hills on which the woman sits. Bingo! We know what it is. Rome, the city of Rome, was called the city on 7 hills. So he already told you, this beast is Rome, the Roman Empire. Now he says, this is 7 hills on which the woman sits. Immediately, people knew what that meant. That was Rome. But wait a minute, it's not as simple as that, because then John gives us another interpretation. Verse 10. They are also 7 kings. Now he tells us, I'm going to tell you, there's 2 meanings of the beast. One is that, yes, it is Rome, but there's another meaning of the 7 heads. He lets us know there are also 7 kings. Now watch this. 5 have fallen. 1 is, and the other has not yet come, but when he does come, he must remain for a little while. 7 kings. Who are these 7 kings? Now, again, to understand who John's referring to, he's a Jew who believes in the Jewish Messiah. He's looking at Jewish history that is given to us in scriptures to tell us who the 5 kings are. So when I look at the 5 kings, I recognize something. What is the first great empire? Actually, it was kind of Babylon, but Babylon had nothing to do with the Jewish people because the Jewish people don't come into play until after Babylon. But the first major nation, empire, that persecuted God's people was what empire? Egypt. You remember, that's where the whole story of the Israelites come from. They were slaves in Egypt, and they finally got delivered. So when he says there's 5 kingdoms that have gone, I immediately recognize, if I was Jewish, the first one is Egypt. So let's put on these 8 kings, 7 of them he mentions, and we'll discuss them all. And here they are. The first kingdom to rule the Jewish people was the nation of Egypt. Israel got delivered, developed their own land, but later on, during the prophet Isaiah, he prophesies of this, that Assyria was going to come and take over the northern part of the kingdom, which was called Israel, and Assyria destroyed the northern kingdom. Then you find Jeremiah, the prophet, to Judah, the southern kingdom, and he prophesies that another nation is going to destroy Assyria and take over Judah as well, and that next kingdom was the kingdom of Babylon. So during the Babylonian reign, Babylon is what? Kingdom number 3. Remember that? Egypt and Assyria were before Babylon, and then Babylon took over the kingdoms of Assyria, and they became the new ruler. All right, Babylon. Now, Nebuchadnezzar, who's the king of Babylon, he has this dream. This dream disturbs him. He sees a dream of a statue. The statue has a golden head. Then it had a chest plate of silver, and then it had thighs of bronze, and then it had iron legs, and then 10 toes from those iron legs. And he's disturbed. He asked the astrologers, can you interpret it? No one could interpret it. But Daniel, and you find the story of Daniel's interpretation in his book, and he says, oh, Nebuchadnezzar, let me give you the interpretation. God has shown you the future in this dream. You, O king, are the head of gold. So he tells them, you are the gold. You are the greatest king in the land that we know of. But then he says there's going to be another kingdom that's going to come after you that will overcome the Babylonian king. It will be the new empire, but it's going to be inferior to yours. Thus, he calls it silver. And what became the new empire? The Persian Empire, or the Medes and the Persians. Actually, we find that the Medes and the Persian takes over during the time of Daniel. So Daniel's alive during this period when he sees this transfer of power. But then Daniel tells Nebuchadnezzar, now listen to me, not only will there be another kingdom inferior to yours, but there's going to be one that will come after that. And we know from history it was the kingdom of Greece. So Greece became the next empire. But then, here's what Nebuchadnezzar dreamt. He said, I saw a rock coming out of the mountain, and it was hurled to this statue and crushed it. And here's what Daniel says. Finally. Now, can you all say finally? He uses the word finally because he's letting us know this is the final kingdom for when the Messiah comes into, and the King of Kings comes. When the Messiah, our Jewish Messiah comes, he's coming finally on the final statue, the final part of the statue, which was iron legs. And the iron legs was Rome. Rome conquered Greece. And Jesus was born during the Roman Empire, and he died for our sins, and he brought salvation to the human race.